Hi, and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the newest chapter, Chapter 3 in Adaca, a game that I covered about a year ago and one of the best shooters I think I've played in a long while. It's an indie game on Steam, so don't expect the best graphics or anything, but it's one of the funnest shooters I've played in a while. The mechanics are great. It's a combination of Half-Life with, combined with Stalker and of course Fear. It takes all of the big ones and combines them into one from the olden days. You have things like the gravity arm from Half-Life, and you have the atmosphere from a game like Stalker. It's a perfect combination that adds up to a truly special game. And with the newest update, the story sort of concludes, and it's ended. However, last year I covered Chapter 1 and 2. Today we're going to be covering Chapter 3 as well, which is the newest one, and it adds a couple of new elements, so let's just get straight into it. Now, one thing, like I said, to keep in mind is this is an indie game. Chapter 3 took me about 4 hours to beat. It's not a long chapter per se. There are 13 missions, which is about average length, I'd say. And here's the thing. The missions are high quality, so it's a case of quality over quantity. I personally believe that the quality of a mission is more important than the quantity of them. And here we have some real quality stuff. You have new areas and new weapons. The new areas are pretty diverse and cool, to be honest. While yes, you do have a sewer section, again, you have things such as a prison escape. You have things such as a flying ship, like actual container ship just flying. And you have an island, an entire ancient civilization to explore, and a cave system. It's great. There are a bunch of new stuff to explore. And on top of that, there's of course my new favorite weapon, the auto-tracking rifle. Not just because it's an auto-tracking rifle, despite that's cool. It is also just the fact that it does a lot of fucking damage. That thing slaps, and it slaps hard, and that is pretty damn cool, in my opinion. And that's the thing with Adaca. It keeps a lot of the ground elements throughout all of its chapters that it's built up on, and it does that here as well. And those elements are stronger than ever. There are rocks and everything, since you do find yourself at one point in a jungle, so you have all of these things you can like pick up with your gravity arm and yeet it at enemies for extra damage, or just as a way to stun them so you can steal their weapon and start shooting with their rifles. That is one of the things Adaca does so well, and it does that here more than ever. It has that survival feel. You're stranded on this island, you need to prep yourself. You are put into a very tight situation, but you manage to escape. Either that or I'm just bad. Now, it also has to be said, in this newest chapter, you can also fuck around quite a bit. In chapter 1 and 2, I did find a way to break out of the map. Here I didn't. However, I did manage to get into some places I don't think I was intended to be, specifically on the containment ship by just stacking things on top of each other using the gravity arm. But that's kind of the fun of it. Adaca allows you to break the game if it means that, you are having fun, if it means that you can do it. If you can do it, you can kind of just do it, right? Like, there isn't something that's got to block you like an invisible wall. So if you want to go somewhere, you can just stack things up until it hits. Now, is it easy to do? No. Is it worth it? Probably not. But is it fun? Absolutely. And that is the general gist of Adaca. And it goes in this chapter too, right? Like, you find a heavy machine gun man, so you take a barrel and yeet it at him so you can grab his machine gun and gun him down. Or you have a grenade thrown at you, so you grab it mid-air and yeet it back. Now, for the unique stuff to the chapter, there really isn't a lot, quote unquote a lot. There are a lot of the same old enemies. However, like I said, the new environments more than make up for that. The new environments are lush and beautiful, and I really like them. The beach mission might be my favorite in the game, straight up, and for just playing the ending, it's worth it. Just to tie in, my original thoughts on Adaca was that it was a great shooter that you absolutely should play, and that hasn't changed. There is just more of it now, and honestly, I think that's an overall good thing. I think Adaca needed to be expanded. I think there needed to be an ending, and the fact that they've added an ending is amazing. Now, when it comes to the game feel and everything, it's Adaca. It's gonna feel fantastic. This, story-wise, has some cool implications too. For the first time, the two characters that you play as in the open world and in the actual game gets to meet each other. That's a kind of cool little interaction because, it's the badass that you were playing as in the one game mode, and it's that meeting up with the badass that you're playing as in the story. It's a cool little thing. It's a little nut. And it's kind of neat. Now, that being said, obviously that isn't to say that there aren't some fairly big flaws. Like I said, it's 4 hours or so it took me to beat it, which is not necessarily a flaw, but it would have been nice to see more. I will also say the ending feels a little bit too out there for me. Not that I'm saying that it being out there is bad. It's more a case of I feel like I've seen this in Half-Life. It feels like that. It's a guy literally coming, I have a job offer to you, right? Like it's kind of feels like I've seen that before. That trope being done. That's not to say it's a bad trope. That's just to say I hope that we get to see more in the future of this universe, and just some conclusion that we don't have a Half-Life 3 situation on our hands. And that's the thing, right? Because the Adaca universe is honestly really interesting. This idea of having a stalker-esque world, or stalker elements in the world, combined with Half-Life, combined with all these, and making it work is insane to me. And I think the entire idea of having this police state that Adaca clearly is, right, is a reference to, where the police like run everything, and there are run-ins between the police, the military, and like the alien cultist people. It's kind of dope. Like, let's be honest. It is really cool. Now, I do wish there were more explorations of the world itself. Some friendly camps for a future game would be nice. I really enjoyed the first time we got this like friendly camp where we got to just walk around and see the different NPCs and whatnot. That was kind of cool. It's a little novel thing that doesn't necessarily need to exist, but in my opinion, it does add to the game feel. And it also adds to the overall believability of the world, which is fairly big, right? Like, you want to believe that this is a world that could exist, that these are people who could exist, because if you don't, then you aren't going to be as immersed into the game. And not having any friendly NPCs sort of just makes it feel a little bit too actiony from my side. Like, yeah, I like action games. I like really action focused games if it's a boomer shooter or something like that, but Adaca wasn't really what I wanted. And however, that being said, the atmosphere does stay mostly intact throughout the entirety of the game. I will say I do like the touch that you can basically still by the end do whatever the fuck you want. You can outright go up and kill the man who sent you on this entire quest, and it just like sort of rolls credits. You can break the AI core from chapter 2. You can kill the other main character of the game, right? Like, you have options for how you want to progress. However, that doesn't excuse that I feel like the final boss fight of the game, there's big culmination, like the big battle, kind of weak. I get what point it tries to describe in, right? Like, you're in this military police state where everybody can get power just by being, strong. It's the strong that survive type of vibe. So like, you kill him and then you get a job offer from the same corporation or like police state thing that he was sort of supposed to be in. However, I feel like the fight, while not necessarily being hard, isn't easy either. It's just smartly annoying, because these guys spawn in with some of the strongest weapons in the game that can outright just instantly delete you. And I don't have a problem with it being hard, not at all, and don't take it as being dead, but I wanted something more grand, something bigger, right? Like, that was what I was kind of hoping for, which I didn't get, unfortunately, because we did have one pretty cool boss fight in the AI summon thingy, that big dude that came in and had like radioactive attacks and shit. That was fucking cool. I kind of was hoping for something like that, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And that's the thing with Adaca. Like, a lot of it is really fucking cool, but obviously it is an indie game and it is sole developer experience, and that's not to shit on that, because I think it is wonderful what they've been able to create. The fact that this game is as good as it is, the fact that Adaca is this good, is honestly a surprise to me, because an indie game, for an indie game, it feels like a AAA, straight up. It feels better in basically every aspect. The atmosphere is there the entire way through. The guns feel good the entire way through, and the gameplay loops just keep at it. I really enjoyed it. However, one thing I do want to touch on before we sort of wrap things up is the open world aspect. Now, to briefly touch on the open world, I personally find it really fun. I find it to be a really fun aspect of the game, despite the fact that it is not simplistic. It has your usual secrets to find, like Adaca has. It also has all your usual enemy types that Adaca has. It has a bunch of progression things you can unlock. You can unlock different weapons to spawn in with, as it has this sort of cool sort of extraction mechanic where you've been sent in, then you've been taken back, and then you can unlock new weapons. Now, there are missions you can get and play through in the open world, and they're all fine. They serve their purpose. They're fine. And that's the general gist of the open world. It is just an an extra thing to an already fantastic game. It is the cherry on top. And now if you're wondering, but doesn't it lose its vibe in an open world? The answer is surprisingly no. Enemies are well placed out, there's good space between them, and it's fairly easy to find cover and all of those things. It is just fine. It's a great addition to the game and a great addition to a game that is already fantastic. I was ready to recommend this based on the campaign alone, but with the open world, which was there by the last review as well, I did just elevate in the game. It's just even better. Another entire mode to explore with different companions and so on. It's fantastic. Go and check it out. And with that being said, that's the video. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And lastly, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you spending your time here with me on this. I genuinely appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all later.